It's week 3, everyone, and this is your Sharp Squares podcast with the ambassador David Eby and Greg Roth. This is yours truly, Eric Glazer. If you bailed on us after week 1, that is your bad. Our Sharps led us to a 4-1 record, really 5-1 if you count 3-2-1 last week. What does that mean? So, for last week's results, all the Sharps in aggregate weren't great, 44.8%. But thankfully, our algorithm came through. Metal games were 4-2. Our pick 5 led us to a 4-1 record, 3-2-1. We were 2-1, but only earning 3 of 6 points. The Giants game really put a damper on us, Greg. We would have gone 6 for 6, which we needed. That was enough.
And 5-0. 2 straight weeks, week 1 and week 2, historically bad beats. Right? The Giant loss was a historical bad beat, no?
Teams with 3 TDs and not allowing any TDs, which were the Giants versus the Commanders, at that point were 1,294-1. Do the percentage on your phone for that.
It's a bad beat.
It's a bad beat. Tough one. All right, for the season, our Sharps in aggregate 41.3%. Our Metal games are 54%. That's 7-6. Pick 5, we're 5-5. You could do the math on that, folks. 3-2-1. We've earned only 4 of 12 points. That's 33.3%. We are 3-3 for a total win-loss there. All right. That's the old. On with the new, because we've got some interesting things to discuss today. So here we go. The segment we all get up on Friday mornings and look forward to. It's called Gold, Silver, Bronze. And to bring you this information is everyone's favorite fellow degenerate, the Greg Roth.
Eric, thank you so much. This week, 5 Metal games. 5 Metal games. 2 of them are gold. 3 of them are silver. And 0 bronze games. Eric and Dave, as the gold, silver, bronze historian, without any real data, I don't think we've had a week without a bronze game. I think the bronze games, I don't recall a week. I am old and my memory is fading, but I don't remember a week where we didn't have a bronze game. And I certainly, 3 silver games is a lot. So it's quite an interesting combination. That doesn't mean anything, but let's get to it.
The top. I want to say, and not that it makes a difference to everyone, as we were in pre-production getting ready to record, and EB is my witness. I mean, Greg mentioned this like 2 or 3 times. He's obsessed with the fact that we have 2 golds and 3 silvers in the bronze. So I'm hoping this is a good thing.
I think it is a good thing. That's why I mentioned it. The top-rated game, guys. The picks, the Miami Dolphins, they're traveling all the way to Seattle to take on the Seahawks, Tua-less Miami Dolphins. They're plus 5.5 in Seattle. RJ Bell, Stuckey, Mike Lombardi, and Teddy Covers. Teddy Covers, a new sharp, Eric.
Oh, should I mention that?
Should. So, where is he from? Because I don't know.
He's from Wager Talk. He's been with Wager Talk for a while. So they changed that show a little bit. They got some new folks. We've been tracking Teddy Covers a little bit on picks he gives out. We've actually added 4 shops to the algorithm this week. And because we've lost some guys, you don't need to know this, offering them during 2 different periods during the season. I add some guys, subtract some guys, readjust the weights. Usually it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. And I guess I'm on the hook now. But we did add 4 guys to the math. Teddy Covers is someone we've covered, along with David Bertman and some others who we have covered, but haven't had in the algorithm for a bit. And now they've been added in. So we'll see.
So Teddy Covers, Mike Lombardi, Stuckey, RJ Bell all took Miami. Nobody picked Seattle. The second gold game. And I know how much our audience is going to love this. They're going to love it. They are going to run to DraftKings or wherever they place their wagers immediately. They may not even listen to the end of this segment. The pick is the Carolina Panthers. They're plus 5.5. They're in Las Vegas. If I was 0-2, wouldn't mind week 3 to be in Las Vegas. They're playing the Raiders, of course. Mackenzie Rivers, Scott Seidenberg, Ross Tucker, and Chris Raybon. They were brave enough to take the Panthers. Nobody, shockingly, actually, I guess, nobody took the Raiders. 3 silver games. The top-rated silver game. The pick is the Tennessee Titans. They're -2.5, welcoming the Green Bay Packers to Tennessee. Steve Fezzik, RJ Bell, Stuckey, Rob Pizzola, the Favorites podcast and Cleve TA all took Tennessee. Ralph Michaels and David Bierman, the aforementioned former Sharps, now back as current Sharps.
Who follows Greg Roth on Twitter or X?
David Bierman. Bierman and Michaels both took the Packers in descent. The second silver game, the picks, the Washington Commanders, they're +8.5, traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Steve Fezzik, Scott Seidenberg, and Adam Chernoff all picked Washington. There was Cincinnati action from Joe Ranieri, Will Capper, and Gil Alexander. The last silver game, the pick, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're +5.5 in Buffalo to take on the Bills. Ross Tucker, Gil Alexander, the Favorites podcast. Todd Wishnow, another new Sharp in the system.
We've been tracking for a bit. He's on Gil's show.
They all took Jacksonville. The Whale Capper and Kyle Long in descent took Buffalo. So, guys, the pick 5, very easy. Dolphins at +5.5, Panthers at +5.5, both gold. Titans at -2.5, Commanders at +8.5, and the Jaguars +5.5, all silver. That's your pick 5.
So I'm excited about these picks because we're going against the grain with the Panthers. The Commanders, if you remember from last season, my brother-in-law is a disgruntled Commanders fan, and I felt we did pretty well with them. As bad as they are, and as much as I don't like the pick, I just feel good about the karma there, +8.5. And incidentally, Greg, I wanted to tell you this. So my nephew, Logan, listens to the show. He's not a football fan. He doesn't watch the NFL, but he knows now about handicapping and NFL gambling because he listens to the show on the way to hockey practice every morning. So he's a gambling guru who doesn't even watch the NFL because of everything that the Sharp Squares that we do.
Your sister must be thrilled about you educating him about gambling.
All right, let's get it. 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. The only change from the medal games, the Dolphins were only getting 4.5 versus 5.5 in the pick 5. So that drops to our 1-point game. That leaves the Panthers as the top rated game at 3, 2, 1 at +5.5, and the Titans as a 2-point game at -2.5.
Beautiful. Good to go. If that's what you're looking for, folks, you're now all dismissed. And if you want to listen to some cool trends and some handicapping highlights that the team curated for us, here we go. These trends are from Lock and Cash on X at Lock and Cash. By the way, our boy Greg Roth aggregates all these great trends for us during the show. He does a hell of a job. Great job, Greg. Lock and Cash, winless road teams off a loss at home in the first 6 weeks of the NFL season are 80, 43, and 1 or 65% ATS. Those teams for this week are the Broncos, Ravens, Panthers, and Jaguars. From Bet Labs, in the past 10 years, when 2 undefeated teams play in week 3, the dog has gone 35, 20, and 1 or 64%. Those teams this week are the Vikings +2.5 and the Chargers +2.
And I've got the other Bet Labs trend here. Guys, in the past 10 years, 0-2 teams have gone 52, 33, and 1. That's 61% ATS in week 3. The 0-2 teams in week 3 are, drum roll, please, Giants, Titans, Colts, Broncos, Panthers, Ravens, Rams, and Jaguars.
And the Bengals.
And the Bengals.
All right, we're going to cover 3 goal games, give you some handicapping highlights. Dolphins plus 5.5. The theme here, it's time for the Seahawks to come back down to earth. Seattle has benefited from a cupcake schedule so far this year with wins against Bo Nix's Broncos and whoever was QBing for the Patriots. Even with Tua, Miami is a step up for the even without Tua, I beg your pardon. Miami is a step up for the Seahawks, and the Dolphins defense should make things tough this week for Geno Smith. Add to the fact that Seattle's running back Kenneth Walker is missing this game, and it all equals that the Dolphins are besting the Birds. Okay, sorry. It was written by EB. I got to say it. It all equals that the Mammals are besting the Birds against the spread. Mike Lombardi from the GM Shuffle, he thinks Miami's going to wake up and be able to control the run. Stuckey from the Action Network thinks he's not the biggest Tua guy, so he thinks there's not much of a downgrade to Thompson at QB. Interesting. Teddy Covers from Bet On It. Seattle is just coming off a physical win in overtime. Now they have to fly back home from the opposite side of the country. They're banged up, and as we mentioned earlier, Walker is out. Seattle at home as a favorite. They're 0-1 ATS this season. Does that matter? But here's what could matter. 2-4 ATS last year and 1-4 ATS in 2022. I bet you a lot of the squares overrating that Seattle home advantage of late. Timestamps on this. Action Network, 20 minutes, 45 seconds. GM Shuffle, 52 minutes, 34 seconds. Dream Preview, 1 hour, 19 minutes, 27 seconds. Bet On It, 47 minutes.
Highlights from our second goal game, the Panthers plus 5.5 in Las Vegas. A theme out with the new. That's, of course, 2023 number 1 overall pick Bryce Young. And in with the old, the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton. Handicapping synopsis. The Panthers are hoping that their QB play will get better with age. Handicappers that seem to think it's a good move as the spread went down from 7.5 to 5.5 with the news of Young's benching. From Scott Seidenberg, the Dream Preview, Carolina receivers are getting frustrated because they're open, or at least there's a window for them to make a play, but they haven't had a QB that could get them the ball. Also from the Dream Preview, this time from Mackenzie Rivers, this is a good fade spot for the Raiders, a team that's been on the road so far. Home teams are 38% against the spread in week 3 when the first 2 games are on the road. It's counterintuitive. You think you come home, little home cooking, you're better. No, maybe you have an adjustment. Chris Raybon from the Action Network, he says the offensive line has been playing decent for Carolina and should hold up for Dalton, who was in a similar situation in New Orleans and balled out as a backup QB. When was that? Was that last year? I lose track on that. Did he play last year? Eric, I know I asked a question I don't know the answer to. Somebody out there knows the answer. You get the point. Dalton did a great job as backup. Now he's a starter. Ross Tucker, even money. He thinks the benching of Bryce Young is like when a team fires a head coach and that the Carolina offense will have a spike and bounce in their step. A spike in your step as a result. You can't have a spike in your step, Eric. I don't think. Dave, what do you think? You didn't write that. That is from Deepster. We'll have to ask Chris about that one.
I should have put a comma after spike.
Oh, so you did write it.
The offense will spike and they will have a bounce in their step. Maybe that's what will cause the spike.
Grammar is important.
It is.
Timestamps. Dream Preview, 34 minutes, 42 seconds. Action Network, 14 minutes, 52 seconds. Even Money, 20 minutes, 23.
Thanks, Greg. Now time for game 3. The Packers at the Titans. The pick is the Titans minus 2.5 points. The theme for this game is the Titans are better than their record says they are. The handicap synopsis. Titans are extremely underrated due to a couple of blocked punts and Will Levis's mental boners in the past 2 games. I don't know if you knew, but boners is a synonym for mistakes. Levis has the weapons. He just needs to use them and not make mistakes. Meanwhile, the talk around the Packers is about whether Jordan Love will show up for this game after showing up at practice yesterday. The line and the Sharps say he won't. Here's what else the Sharps say. Rob Pizzola from Forward Progress says the Titans are extremely underrated and they could be 2-0 if it wasn't for the untimely errors mentioned below. Mentioned above. Some might say boners. Of Will Levis and 2 blocked punts. Stuckey from Action Network has been very impressed by the Tennessee defense through the first 2 weeks, and he thinks a desperate Tennessee team will get a home win. Will Hill from Beating the Book says Green Bay stole a win with Malik Willis, and he doesn't think he can pull off this offense on the road with teams having film on the scheme. He said Indianapolis was unprepared for the Green Bay running game last week, but the Tennessee defense is one of the more underrated units in football, so they'll be ready. Finally, Fezzik from the Dream Previews says the Titans are coming off 2 back-to-back phony losses. They won the stats against the Bears and the Jets, and it's unsustainable for Green Bay to pull off 2 upset wins in a row with Willis. Finally, Green Bay had success running versus Indy because of a key injury to DeForest Buckner. There was some dissent in this game. The Whale Capper believes Green Bay's defense, particularly their pass rush, can create problems for Tennessee's rookie quarterback. And he emphasizes that this is a good spot for Green Bay, especially given Tennessee's struggles to protect their quarterback. Timestamps, Action Network 9 minutes, 20 seconds. The Favorites, 33 minutes and 20 seconds. Dream Preview, 6 minutes and 29 seconds. And Deep Dive, no timestamp, but it's about halfway through the show.
Great stuff. Great job by all our producers. Handicapping highlights. EB and the boys kicked butt today. Really well done. Incidentally, folks, if you haven't joined our Discord community, what are you waiting for? You get notes to all the shows we cover. It's about 18 of them, college and NFL. Go to sharpsquarespod.com. You get a 7-week free trial. And if for some reason after that you don't like it, just email me. I'll give you your money back. It's only $49.99 for the year. Subscribe to the podcast. And also remember, none of us are truly sharp. But this is your Sharp Squares podcast.
Good luck out there.